Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing well. This is Anushka Vora back with session 2 on our series Easy with ESOPs. For those who are not aware, we have started with a series on ESOPs where I'll be discussing about ESOP basic till advanced. We'll be talking about taxation, the laws applicable, accounting, valuation, and also the practical challenges that the companies might be facing. Our first episode in the series is already out, and where I have discussed about, like, I've started with the basics, discussing about what are stock options, who is an employer, employee, what are the stages of life cycle of an ESOP. And I'm happy to see that our first video has received positive response, where there are a lot of questions in the comment section and also suggestions on what should I cover in my next video. I'll definitely try to answer all the questions in my videos. So before I start with today's discussion, I will just quickly brief what we discussed in the first session for benefit of all the listeners. So in the previous session, we discussed about what are stock options. So stock options is an option that is, as the name suggests, it is an option which is given to an employee where the employee has a right but not an obligation to exercise those options. Once exercised, those options get converted into shares and the employee becomes the shareholder of the company. So there is stages which is involved in a stock option is like company frames an ESOP plan. Then there is the grant stage where the NRC, which is the compensation committee, approves the grants. Then board's approval of the shareholders is obtained. Then comes the stage of vesting of options, where the options that have been granted are now eligible to be exercised. Then is the exercise period, exercise of options, allotment of shares. So this seems to be very easy, like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, but we'll be discussing about these stages in detail. So topic for today's discussion would be vesting and exercise, vesting period and exercise. So vesting, as I've mentioned, starts after grant, and it is the process by which the options that have been granted vest in an employee. There's under the Companies Act and under the SBEB regulations, there is a minimum vesting period of 1 year. Now, there's no maximum vesting. So there's a question that comes can there be a maximum vesting period of say 10 years, 20 years? The answer to that is no. Vesting period, while there is no maximum vesting period that has been prescribed, but when we talk about stock options, the most important component, most important integral part of any stock options and the most important intent, among other things, is employee motivation and retention. So one has to understand that if we say that the maximum vesting period would be 10 years, 20 years, then it would not achieve the very purpose for which the stock options have been introduced. So a practical vesting period of say 5 years, 6 years, what is it should be prescribed. So after the vesting, now there are certain circumstances where there is no minimum vesting period also. We'll be discussing about that. So once the vesting period is over, then comes the exercise. Now, when I say that the minimum vesting period is 1 year, post 1 year of grant, the option starts vesting on me. And that maximum vesting period would be 5 years. So let us just take an example. So there's a company which has granted 100 options. The minimum vesting period is 1 year and the maximum vesting period is 5 years. So now the options that started vesting on me. So at the end of first year, which is since there's a minimum vesting period of 1 year, at the end of first year, 10% options are vested. Then at the end of second year, 20, then 20, and then 50. So this is known as graded vesting, where options vest in a staggered manner. Now here, this is a very simple vesting schedule. We call this as a vesting schedule. This is a very simple vesting schedule where there's just percentage of options that would vest. 100 options, 10 options, then 20, then 20, and then 50. Now there can be vesting schedule where there are vesting conditions. So vesting, I'm sorry, okay. So vesting schedule can be without conditions and with conditions. This is very plain vanilla vesting schedule where there's no vesting condition. Now, vesting conditions usually are like they are performance based, which can be based on individual employee performance or on the performance of the company as a whole. So when we talk about individual employees' performance, it would be based on KPIs. If certain KPIs are met, then say 10% of options would vest. If KPIs are met at the end of second year, then so and so options would vest, and likewise. When I talk about company, it would be the performance of the company as a whole, based on like comparison with the global peers or with the peers. So the vesting schedule, the vesting conditions can be vesting schedule can be with conditions or without vesting conditions. So once options are vested, now here at the end of first year, 10%, which is 100 options are vested, which means the employee A is now eligible to exercise these 10 options. 10 options are vested. So now this employee is eligible to exercise 10 options. Now, what about exercise? There is no minimum exercise period. There is no maximum exercise period, except in case of certain circumstances, which we'll be discussing. So exercise period can be long, can be short. A long exercise, the exercise period can be as short as 6 months after vesting, or can be as long as say 6 years. So that depends on company. A long exercise period would be beneficial to the employee, where he get more chance to think of exercising the option based on the market conditions. So there are the certain circumstances which I was talking about. So that is death, permanent incapacity, resignation, retirement. In case of death, there is no minimum vesting period, which is the options that have been that are unvested, that get vested immediately once the death of after the death of the employee, and the vested options, they are eligible to be exercised. So the vested, in case of death, the options that have already been vested are ready to be exercised. There is no exercise period, and the options that are still unvested become gets converted into vested options automatically. In case of permanent incapacity, it is the same thing as in the case of death. When we talk about resignation, in case of resignation, the unvested options, and say an employee X here, he resigns before the options have vested. Some options, like only 10% options have vested on him, and he resigns after the end of first year. So this 10% options which were vested would have an exercise period which the company would prescribe, and the options that are unvested, which is 20, 50%, the rest of the options, 90 options that remain unvested, would lapse since the employee has resigned. In case of retirement, the SBB regulations prescribe that there will be a normal exercise period in case of retirement or superannuation, which is the exercise period which is for in a usual circumstance, say it is 5 years, so that would be 5 years in case of retirement or superannuation also. In case of death, permanent incapacity, resignation, there is a different exercise period. So that was about vesting period, exercise period, vesting schedule. We also understood it with the help of an illustration. I'd be happy to have questions around this, where and also what is the practical exercise investing period in case of in the companies. I would be happy to know that. In the next session, I'll be talking about implementation. As we know that these stock options can be implemented either directly by the company or through a trust route. So our next discussion will be focused on that. Who prefers going through a direct route or trust route? What are the advantages in both the routes? What are the disadvantages in both the routes? So that was it from my side for this session. Thank you so much.